Hello, welcome to Coding on Crack. Today we're going to talk about how to do optical character recognition on iOS in a Swift driven application. This is essentially going to show you how to create this application where you're able to point your camera at some text in the real world, and it's going to automatically extract the text from that image and convert it into a string. That way you can use that text anywhere in your application for whatever your purposes are. Let's jump right into it. It's a shockingly quick and easy thing to do, so I will see you at the code.
All right, let's run through this code real quick so that we can see how to perform optical character recognition using live feed from the camera in Swift. Essentially, we're going to have our root view storing the text that our scanner is actually extracting from its video feed. This text can obviously be used for whatever applications you have, but in our case, since this is an example app, we're just going to display that to the user. Next, we're going to create this scanner view where we're going to pass in the reference to the text that we're actually using in our root view. Now the scanner view is where everything's going to happen. Essentially in the scanner view, you have this UI view controller representable, which is Swift's way of creating a bridge between UI kit views and Swift UI views. So the data scanner view and data scanner view controller are essentially UI kit views that need to be used in the context of Swift UI, so we need this bridge. Now we're passing this recognized text binding into our scanner view. That's essentially just creating that reference to our text used in the root view. That way, when we update it in our scanner view, it will also be updated in our root view and automatically reload any UI elements that are using that text. This make UI view controller with the context is what's going to actually create the data scanner view controller, that data scanner view controller being the object that's going to be responsible for performing our OCR task. So if we look at this definition, it's an object that scans the camera live video for text, data in text, and machine readable code. You use it to get input from physical objects that appear in the camera's live video, such as printed text and QR codes on packages. So we're essentially going to be creating one of these in our make UI view controller. This context is just giving this access to the UI, the Swift UI view coordinator, as well as environment, which we're not using here. So first we define our view controller as a data scanner view controller. Our arguments here are first the recognized data type. So we're using .text. You can also use a couple of other options. You also have the option for scanning barcode. Next, our quality level is going to be .balance, which will give us a quick frame rate without sacrificing the quality of the responses too much. But if you don't care about frame rate, you could go for accurate, or if you care more about your frame rate and less about the accuracy of your model, then you can just use fast. But we're using balance. Recognizes multiple items as false. That's essentially just saying, okay, we're only going to focus on one set of words at a time. Is high frame rate tracking enabled? False. And is highlighting enabled? We're going to set that to true, but you can play around with these options depending on what you want for your application. Then we're going to set the delegate for this view controller to be the context.coordinator. Now that context.coordinator, that coordinator is essentially the object responsible for handling the results of this data scanner and conveying those results to our Swift UI view through this recognized text. Then you're just going to set off the scanning process and then return that. So we'll come down here. We don't need to use the update UI view controller for this. Our make coordinator is essentially just going to create the coordinator that we're using and pass in the reference to that text. And then down here, we have our actual coordinator, NS object, data scanning view controller delegate. That's essentially saying, hey, this object is the object that's going to handle the results of our data scanner view controller. And here we're capturing that recognized text, which is essentially chaining all the way up to our root views text. And then we're essentially saying, okay, anytime our data scanner adds recognized items or recognizes items, we're going to get the first recognized item because we're only looking for one item at a time. And then we're going to essentially check, is this text? Obviously, there are other possibilities. Perhaps it's that barcode option. We're going to check, is this text? And we're going to assign that newly scanned text to our recognized items. And we're essentially just grabbing the transcript, which is that raw string from the text that was captured. There are other properties you can access. You have an ID, you have the bounds of the recognized item in the view coordinates. So if you wanted to know where that text was, and then you have this observation object, an object that contains details about the location and content of the text and glyphs in an image. So that's gonna just have more options that you can kind of chain down and get access to and look at. But for our purposes, we're really just looking at the transcript. We're only really just looking at the string of information captured by the data scanner view controller. And that's essentially it. It's a super easy thing to set up. Apple gives us a lot of that functionality right out of the gate so that we can just create a simple view that bridges to our data scanner view controller and then allows us to get that data visually extracted from the camera and place it on the screen. Super easy, super chill, no problemo. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, like if you liked it, and have a good one. See you later, folks. Bye-bye.